Hello everybody and welcome back to M&J Games. I am Michael and today we're looking at another PC park that was created for me by Deathfearsnone, who is also a YouTuber, so make sure to go check out his channel as the link is in the description below. But this is a very unique park as it features 22 roller coasters and a family section in the mini grove for some of the wildest family attractions featuring 6 coasters. Enjoy the rest of the park with big attractions and a record-breaking 100-mile-per-hour inversion ride on the fully Titan track by GCI Coaster, as well as a simulated Vekoma tilt coaster. Many more surprises await you. Most buildings are blueprints as I'm still learning to make better buildings, and all station and coasters are made by me. Awesome. So I am stoked to get started, and right there you can see a dive coaster. Or I think that's, oh, never mind, that's to simulate the tilt coaster. Okay, so it's using the dive coaster kind of settings, it looks like. Or maybe there's a mod for that. I don't know, but that's pretty cool. But already this park looks fantastic to me. Just a ton of coasters, which anybody watching the channel knows that is my go-to, is coasters. So 22 coasters in this park. Fantastic. Let's go ahead and get started at the entrance. So now we're here at the entrance to the park, and we've got is that RMC going right by the entrance with the 0G stall. That's really cool. And I do like this entrance building. It kind of fits with what you see sometimes with theme parks, where it's a little bit more grand than it maybe needs to be, but it's a way to kind of invite you into the park. And look, I like that he admitted that he used some blueprints, because, you know, not all of us, there's so many facets of this game, and it takes time and effort to get good at each one. So I appreciate the fact that he said that he's still trying to get better with building buildings. You know, I kind of felt that same way for a while too. So this is the mini XY grove. So I guess it's like the kids area. As we can see, that's cool. So that's kind of using the, I don't know what that type of support is right there that's being used, but that's a really cool view. As I said, this is a longer video. It's about an hour and a half park tour because we got 22 coasters to look at. So buckle up. It's going to take a bit. I'll probably have to do this in multiple sittings, but this is a really cool park. And so now we're here in the kids area. So it definitely feels, it almost gives me, like, with that tree in the middle, like Disney or Animal Kingdom, like Avatar vibes in that area. So we got Junior Hollow. So this is the first coaster of the day. Yeah, this is you know, maybe I'd say just putting some of the protective fencing around there, but either way it looks nice. So I like the station. Gives it kind of a cool look with the extra support pieces and stuff like that. I think that's really cool. So we're going to go ahead, wow, I can't speak. We're going to go ahead and take a ride on this coaster, and I'll talk to y'all afterwards. Well, that was the Junior Hollow, I believe was the name of that ride, and I thought that was really good. And if that's a sign of things to come with coasters in this park, we're going to be in for a treat, because that was really smooth. I think the layout was really good, especially for kind of the area and what you wanted to kind of offer, and you know, provided little things here and there that kind of gave some theming to it, which was nice, like going through that little gazebo thing right there. Really smooth, really well done. Really enjoyed that coaster. And once again, I think that roof is pretty cool. It's definitely very unique. Maybe having some cross beams going across the section in the middle in the station would be good. But man, that pink RMC just looks awesome. That looks really good. So now we're heading to the next area, and really well done with the foliage here and stuff. That's really nice, and love the Jarrow swing. So we got the Winder's Sidewinder. It's the next coaster in the park, it looks like. So this will probably be a family wooden coaster. Oh, yeah, I like using the fencing like that. I know I saw first people I've seen do that were oh gosh, MB7 and or Mike Sheets and Mass Bandit on their No Name Landia park before they had some of the other fence options. So I think that's a cool way to kind of make some custom fences, but yet not using a crazy piece count with it. So this is a nice queue. Definitely a long queue as well. And that's one thing too that I'm excited with potentially getting a PC is to be able to actually build longer realistic queues, because on console we kind of, I mean, in my opinion, I try to make queues shorter just because they take up a lot of space with the counter. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a ride on the Sidewinder, and I'll talk to you afterwards. So that was the Sidewinder, and I mean, I really enjoyed that. I think it's definitely a good coaster to get guests used to laterals, because there really wasn't much airtime, or weren't many airtime moments, but I think you did an amazing job there with the just kind of the layout and having it kind of have a lot of twists and turns and kind of throwing you around side to side. I think that was a really good job. Definitely loses maybe a little bit too much steam there at the end, but I know sometimes that can be kind of tough to do. But those lights on the lift hill, I hope we get a look at night at some point, because it looks like those are probably TMTK lights, maybe. You know, lights like you would see on Orion and Fury 325 and rides like that. But that's really, really cool. So 2 coasters down, 20 more to go. Grab some popcorn. Oh, that's awesome. That little kind of foliage area there to the left, and that sign looks really good. So I definitely like this area of the park. Like, it's not that it necessarily feels a ton like a kid's area, because there's not a lot of colorfulness to it in the sense, but it feels very naturey, and it feels like it fits its purpose, if that makes sense. So now it looks like we got invert coaster, and is this supposed to be, I mean, it looks like from the initial hill like it's meant to be one of the newer Vekoma models, the S. I know it's not SLC. I forget what the new terminology is for it. But yeah, that looks really, really, really cool. Oh, Matty's Dragon. Is this named after Iron Matty? That station looks cool. It looks like something like from Last of Us. That's just a post-apocalyptic thing. So now, once we get to the station, and I like the fencing here, because it definitely goes with the theme and the vibe for the ride, of it being kind of a desolate area or something like that. So having those kind of wooden poles definitely adds to the vibe. And once again, really cool station. So this is a dragon coaster, and I'll talk to you afterwards. So that was the third kid coaster we've looked at, and it's called Matty's Dragon. So, Iron Matty, if you're watching this, that better be your favorite coaster in the park. But that's really, really well done with the theming there and just creating this kind of ancient ruin castle kind of design for this kid's coaster, and the layout's fantastic. I like that one a little bit more than the first one we went on, just because to me it was a little bit more thrilling, had a little bit more theming. But so far every coaster has been fantastic. So really excited to continue looking at it. And you can kind of see the layout here and running 2 trains, and it's operating really well, it looks like. And that's another cool thing too, sometimes when you're testing the whole park without guests in it, is seeing, in theory, if this was a real park, how would the trains be able to operate and so forth. And I just love this kind of like overgrowth look to it. And that's a good view of the lift hill as well. Alright, so as we go ahead and continue on, having the same fencing with the exit queue as you did with the main queue. And we can see this coaster right in front of us right now that I was talking about before. It looks almost like a newer, I guess it's not the newer Vekoma model with the style of track. It's probably the old school B&M, but before it was B&M, like Giovanola maybe, but we'll see when we get to that. I think maybe along this path, having something on the, instead of just having the fences, maybe having some kind of like food place or something on the right. But that's something that he said he's trying to work on, is building custom buildings and stuff. And so I would think that's the next piece of, oh, we got something over here. It looks like a hotel maybe? Oh, that's nice. So it's got a nice kind of entryway just into the park. So now we are on to the next areas. This is called Wild Bear, or on to the next coaster. And once again, continuing with the same style of fencing, which is nice, like the foliage. And this looks like maybe a Mack coaster. Let's see. Yeah, the Copperhead Strike model. And since this is still in the family area of the park, I'm guessing it's not going to be too thrilling of a coaster and more something for the kids or for families. Oh my gosh, that is going to be incredibly difficult to top that coaster in this park. And just in my opinion, like which first of all, was that a triple launch or quadruple launch? Because I couldn't tell if at the top of the top hat area, and that wasn't necessarily a top hat, but I couldn't tell if it was just a slight bit of a launch or if it was just trim brakes. It's probably trim brakes. But either way, it's a triple launch family coaster. And I mean, Deathfearsnone does a great job of having smooth coasters, and this gives me like what kind of Dollywood's coaster is gonna try to be in a sense. So I'm wondering if with the name of it, and I wonder if you got some inspiration from that. But this is just, I mean, phenomenal. As you can see, the triggers and the layout. Like, I didn't even time how long that coaster is, but that thing's got to be almost 2 minutes. That's phenomenal. And you look at the space that it takes up, and it really feels like it's in the woods. So you just did an absolutely amazing job with that. So now we can see at nighttime. You know, good night lightings. I think there's a couple triggers at some point. As you can see there, yeah. So when you launch at night, there's a trigger there. So that's pretty cool to see. But yeah, so far, I mean, that's, to me, is by far the best one so far. And all your coasters have been really good. So now, we head out here, and there's a little lodge to the left, which is nice. So I don't know if this is, I guess that's just a food place, but it looks like there's a building behind it and stuff. So I don't know if that's just more like maintenance staff and stuff like that. But ooh, I love the fencing there to the left with kind of the ivy growing on it. I think that's really cool. And then now we are heading to the area with some really cool custom trees, it looks like. So this is called Dolgas, something swamp. Yeah, it's just a swamp basically. But this is awesome. So now as we turn to night, and I would love to know, was this coaster meant to be Giovanola, B&M, or is it meant to be, because with the layout and stuff, it looks like it's meant to be a new gen Vekoma, but obviously it doesn't have the circular base of that track. It's got the rectangular shape. So I'd love to know Deathfearsnone, which kind of manufacturer model you kind of went with this. But this looks awesome, and the coloring's great. I like the station, like the use of supports with the beams and stuff like that. Once again, like I've said with every other coaster, really well done. Love the lighting, fantastic layout. I mean, I did kind of get the newer gen Vekoma model there as we were taking a ride on the coaster. But once again, just absolutely fantastic. Love the coaster. As you can see, kind of the first initial drop here. And it's got a lot of those kind of prolonged overbank turns. So it's definitely a good intermediate ride. And definitely fits this style of the park, especially with the swamp area around it and stuff. Really well done, great lighting. And kind of interesting having a mid-course too, because the layout doesn't seem too long, so it's interesting that using a mid-course brake run as well. But I love that little turnaround there, as you get great views from it on the path. And this is just absolutely fantastic. So as you can kind of see an overview of the layout or area of that coaster and everything at night as stuff's lit up well. So I'm glad that we're seeing night versions of the park because I always forget to do that sometimes. Now, I believe this is the last coaster in this kind of kids area section of the park, and this one's called Poison Ivy. Now, I have no idea what one this is. Oh, let's see. What coaster? Looks like a Vector, maybe? We'll see, but once again, good interaction with the queue. And kind of continuing the same queue fencing style is nice. Oh, it looks like it's using... that maybe Gerstlauer track, but Infinity coaster cars. We'll see. Or not Infinity, the Invincible. Well, I love that how the queue goes under the station like that and wraps around. This would be a fun park to visit if it was real. So let's see if when we click on it, yeah, it's definitely the Invincible cars. So it looks like maybe Gerstlauer track, Invincible cars, and we'll chat afterwards. I mean, once again, same thing I'm saying with every ride. Really well done. Great area. And this is just fantastic. And I like the shortening of the coaster trains as well. I think that's very critical as you kind of create a layout like this, and especially the family variety. So I think that's really, really well done. So let's see, now we're 6 coasters in and there's 22. So I'm making a middle of the episode decision, and I'm actually going to split this into 2 videos because I'm keeping it about 40-45 minutes per video. But this is fantastic. Absolutely love it. So it does have one inversion. So this would be maybe the one that's looked at as the advancing out of these style of coasters into possibly the more thrilling ones throughout the park. But this is just really good. Really good. So now we head out. We see another, looks like probably a restaurant or food. Oh, that's a staff room and a little food building. So definitely like the style of it there. So that was Poison Ivy. I still think my favorite so far is that bear ride, that Mack launch coaster. We are now exiting the kids area or family area of the park. And so now you can see kind of, it opens up, the space opens up a little bit more, because that part, everything was a little more congested, which I think was nice and was good for what the coaster was offering. But that's really cool right there, seeing those supports. When I say coaster, I meant what that area was offering. But now you can see, I mean, once again, the 0G stall right there is just fantastic. So now this is called Waddles Demon. Okay. I'm so intrigued by this because I could not tell from that quick view what this is. Ooh, I love that fencing. Like you can still see through it, but it's really, really good job. I mean, look at that. That is fantastic. It looks like it's maybe an X Dimension coaster just with some really cool kind of coverings put on the coaster, maybe. It looks like a custom walkway. Maybe a coaster track put above it. I don't know. We'll have to see if we can figure out what Deathfearsnone did to this coaster, but it definitely looks like the X Dimension coaster. And as you can see, the stats right there. And let's take a ride. Oh, no, it's a flying coaster, maybe. All right, we'll see. I have literally zero idea what just happened. Like, I'm trying to figure out, I think it was the flying coaster, and I think the limits were turned off so that basically the track, you're upside down the whole time, which gave you that, and having the supports on, or not the supports, the catwalk and stuff on, and then just placing something above it. But I'm at a loss. I don't know. Hopefully he zooms in and we can kind of see what the actual coaster trains are. I mean, I thought it was X Dimension, but based off the front of it, it looked like the flying coaster. I don't know. I'll have to Deathfearsnone, tell us in the comments, because I'm still just a complete loss of what you did for that. But once again, lighting looks great as we're moving on to the next area and the next coaster, presumably. Now, it's maybe a little bit too done with the pink, in my opinion, but I think it's, obviously you're doing a really good job lighting everything up. And so now we are heading to the RMC, which y'all know is my favorite coaster type, except maybe a Giga or Hyper. Those might beat it, but gotta love a good RMC. Yeah, I mean, this is awesome how the coaster just flies right around the queue. I would think you maybe need some more protective fencing, just because this fencing seems to be pretty low, where in theory somebody could jump over it and be an idiot and get close to the coaster track. So just from a realism standpoint, probably do that. So now as we look at these stats, and I think we're probably riding this coaster at night based on it being at nighttime. Everything's all green, which is great. That was definitely a really, really good ride. And what I like about it is you could tell how smooth it was, because we didn't ride in front bumper. We rode in seat mode, and it was still really smooth. And it's interesting, though, with those inversions, like, that's not technically a stall, because you never actually stop turning. It's kind of like a really, really slow, elongated 0G roll. So like you can see there, you never actually stop turning. So really, really cool, though. Like I said, love the lighting, love the layout. I couldn't really tell what that first element was after the drop. Maybe we can see, so the screen I'm looking on isn't large enough to be able to see that too well, but it looked very unique for sure. And then that first drop, you can see the custom supports and stuff. Looks a little bit different than Iron Gwazi and some of those, but still really well done, and gives a really, really good sight line. Yeah, what did you think about that coaster? What were y'all's thoughts? Because so far, I mean, that's I guess the second one we've ridden that was not a kids coaster, but it's definitely the go-to one in the park that we've been on so far. So now we're heading on to the next area, and you can see the big hammer swing there, as those always look very majestic wherever they're at in the park. Really, really cool to see, along with those kind of like sundials. Both of those kind of offer the same thing. So So we got a little drop tower. Oh, the Screaminator drop tower there. Good job. And you know, I like how you've kind of gone with the path covers here and stuff. Now, what I would say is it looks like the pathing is a little bit messed up's not the word, but it's a little bit awkward at times. And so that's one where you can use the flatten, the tool where it just says flatten to surface and stuff like that. So you're not dealing with as many kind of those awkward bumps and stuff. But you do see those in theme parks sometimes, so I can understand that. So now as we head on to the next area of the park, and we got 3 more coasters we're going to look at in this episode, which will put us at exactly 11. And then we'll look at the second half of the coaster lineup in the next video. Because as I said, I just didn't want to make this an hour and a half, and kind of split up into 2 is more manageable. So this is the board space program. Okay. So now we're heading to a very, very different style, very different area, as you can see. Clearly it's themed around space and stuff like that. So really, really cool. Oh, and you can see the launch right there too. That's awesome. Now we can see at night the triggers with those lights. This is called Jarrow Orbit. Okay. So those triggers with those lights are awesome. So now we head up the queue. Oh, and it's the whole building. That's unique for sure. So is the coaster just in this building? Is that actually a coaster? I guess we'll see. I mean, it's got to be with this long of a queue. And those flashing lights, that's crazy. Alright, so we're going to... Oh, this is very unique. Oh, it looks like the bobsled bottle? I don't know. We'll just take a quick ride on this, look at some cinematics, and then we will chat afterwards. Alright, I don't really fully know what I just saw still. It looks like... I mean, it's not the Aces Sky. Or is it... It looks like the Vector, maybe? So it's got a little bit of a launch to it. And I don't even know. This is... It looks like you maybe did use the Aces Sky or the bobsled track kind of to outline it there. Either way, that is extremely unique. Oh, yeah. Oh, I didn't even realize that on the ceiling. You got all those eyes. Oh, that's not creepy at all. That looks really, really cool, though. Alright, so now I believe we're heading on to the next area and get away from those flashing lights and back into daytime. And once again, good use of the foliage on the edge there. You know, maybe you could add some borders there, just to kind of separate the pathing system from the shrubs and stuff like that. This is a really, really cool look and really cool area. And oh, there's a coaster right there. That's why we're waiting. So you can see the coaster launch from the path, which is cool. And it's crazy with this map is I wonder, did you extend... You had to have extended the map beyond the borders like you can on PC, because there's no way. This is really, really cool, though. So now we will take a ride on this coaster, and I'll chat afterwards. Once again, another coaster, another really smooth and fun coaster, and that launch looks really cool right there. And the fact that you actually have space in this park that's just not used is pretty insane. So basically it goes around this whole lake and stuff like that. I think my favorite part of that, though, had to be the lights you use kind of in the station. That's a pretty quick inversion, especially seeing it from off-ride. But definitely the lights where you launch and stuff, and kind of that sign that you launch under, I think is really, really cool and a really, really well done. And so you can kind of see there just how the coaster's placed and stuff on the edge of the map. And there is, I couldn't tell if that was actually inversion. I'm trying to remember now. But as we look at some of the stats, and like I said, I can't really see the full screen, but you know, showing some of the G-forces and stuff like that. Oh my gosh, look at that lighting. Yeah, so now that was called the Stealth Bomber, or maybe that's this next one we're looking at. Oh, it looks like I can see a 4D free spin in the background too. Oh wow. Does that shoot off like fireworks, fake fireworks, something like that? But that's cool. So remember, this is the last coaster of the video, and then we'll look at the other 11 afterwards. This is called Outlaws Power or Tower Defense. Okay. Definitely very sci-fi and yeah, very, very cool, very unique, taking advantage of the theming possibilities that comes in the game. And so you can see here, oh, it must be a boomerang coaster. These are going backwards. Okay. I like how you got the little glass underneath so you can look up on the ride and on the launch. So I think that's cool. And really good job with this queue. And I like that you can see a lot of the other rides in the background as well, as this park has some really good sight lines. And then good use here of using the glass to kind of cover up where the coaster is, as kind of essentially just being there for protection and stuff for guests waiting in the queue. So now we're up here to the station, and thank you guys so much for watching this video. Remember, the second part of this park tour will be released. I'm also going to make sure to put the link on this in the description below. If you do play on PC and want to download this and check it out, make sure to do so. Make sure to check out Deathfearsnone's YouTube channel as well, as the link is also in the description. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Enjoy this POV.